Today I thought it'd be a great idea if we start off our new year with some healthy recipes, but also ones that are stress-free, ones that just require one pan, because as you know, the holidays were busy and I kind of want to slow down and have things be a little bit more simple. So make sure to grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or even pop some popcorn. This is going to be a good video. And hey, if we haven't met before, my name is Ange, welcome, and this is the Menu Made Kitchen. So for this first recipe I'm sharing with you, this is a 1 skillet lemony chicken and rice with spinach. I love chicken and rice combinations, but what's great about this recipe is it doesn't use any cream. There's no canned soups or anything like that. It's just very light and bright. I think it's a great recipe to start off the new year. Okay, so for our 1 skillet lemony chicken and rice with spinach, we got to start by seasoning our chicken. I have 3 large chicken breasts here, which will probably feed about 4 people or enough for leftovers. So I have 1 tablespoon of lemon pepper seasoning. This is the dash, so it doesn't have any salt. And then I added salt to it, so I have about 3/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. So we'll season both sides of the chicken with this seasoning, and that'll definitely infuse kind of that lemony flavor. And I have to say, I have missed being on here and filming and connecting with you guys, but it was an absolutely wonderful Christmas break. And I'm ready to get back into some healthier recipes and just cooking normal, really. Okay, that looks good. So we're gonna head over to the stove and start getting our chicken seared. All right, I've got my large pan here with high sides. That way we can fit everything in this one pan. And then you also wanna make sure you have a fitted lid. So we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Kind of swirl it around a little. Okay, and I'm just gonna add my chicken in. That's what you wanna hear when you put your chicken in. So I'm just gonna sear both sides until they're golden brown. We're not gonna cook the chicken all the way through because they'll finish cooking when we do the rice. Okay, our chicken is back on our plate that we used beforehand because again, we didn't cook it all the way through. So I have about 1 tablespoon or 2 large garlic cloves. I'm also gonna add in 1 cup of basmati rice. And then we have some seasonings. I have 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1/2 teaspoon of dried dill. So I'm really gonna saute the garlic and the rice for about a minute or so to kind of toast it. This will also add really good flavor. And you can play with the seasonings with this, honestly. Use the ones that you have in your pantry that you think would go really well with kind of that lemony flavor. I love the way that the turmeric turns the rice a golden color. I think it's so pretty. And next to this, we're gonna add in a whole lemon juice, which equals about 1/4 cup. And then we're also gonna add in 2 cups of chicken broth. Okay, so at this point, I want to bring this up to kind of a medium simmer. We're going to add the chicken back to the pot, place the lid on, and then we're going to simmer this until the rice is cooked. And this will probably take about 15 minutes. And then our chicken will be cooked. Then we'll add our spinach and move on from there. Okay, it has been about 15 minutes. Ooh, doesn't that look so good? Oh my gosh. I can tell that most of the liquid is absorbed. I'm gonna take 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese and scatter it over most of the rice, really, just because I wanna be able to fluff it into the rice. And then we're gonna take 2 cups of baby spinach. We'll add it right over the top. I'll put the lid back on and then we'll let the spinach wilt for about 5 minutes. Well, really until it's wilted, and then we can kind of fluff it in with the rice. All right, so I did turn off the heat and I allowed it to sit on the stove for a couple of minutes, and then I pulled it off the burner entirely and then let it sit another 5 minutes. So let's check it out. Ooh, that looks perfect. So normally I go in with a fork, but I don't want to scratch it in my pan, so I'm just going to take my spoon here and just kind of mix the spinach in with the rice a little bit. Looks like the rice is cooked perfectly. It's nice and fluffy. And you honestly don't even need anything else. You've got your veggie, your protein, your rice. I think that this looks gorgeous. Let's give this a taste. All right, check that out. I cut some chicken up and it is ready to taste. All right, we're going in. My daughter did snag a little taste while I was finishing up some stuff, and she said it was bomb. So if I can get her approval, then it's all good. All right, here we go. That is so lemony, and the rice is just like cooked perfectly. It's still fluffy, but it has lots of moisture to it, and the chicken is cooked great. Also, if you want to do chicken thighs, make sure that they are boneless, skinless, and they're on the smaller size. That way that they cook evenly with the rice. So if you want to use chicken thighs, you could definitely do that for this recipe, but I want to keep this a little healthier and lighter. This is so good and such a great recipe to have for something a little bit healthier to start off our new year. I think you're really going to enjoy this. All right, so for our healthy one-pan taco pasta, I have a large pan here. This is nonstick, and you do want to make sure that you've got a lid to go on your pan. So we're going to start with some lean ground beef. I have 1 pound, and we're just going to cook this and crumble it up until it's no longer pink. Okay, our ground beef is finished cooking, and there's just a little bit of grease in the pan, and that's totally fine because we didn't add any additional oil, and that will help saute our onions. So I've got about 3/4 cup of chopped up yellow onion. We're also going to add 1 small red bell pepper that I've diced. We are going to saute the onions and peppers until they're softened, so maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, not too long. All right, peppers and onions have softened a bit. So I've got a couple of large garlic cloves that I've minced, and I want to kind of cook it just like 30 seconds before I add in my other ingredients. And then next we have 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then I also have 1 packet of this low sodium taco seasoning. You could definitely use a homemade blend if you want, but I wanted convenience and something easy. So we'll give this a stir, and we're going to toast the tomato paste and the seasoning, taco seasoning, for like another minute. And then we get to throw in most of the other ingredients. We're going to add in 1 cup of mild taco seasoning, or not taco seasoning, taco sauce. So use your favorite brand. I'm also going to add in 1 cup of drained and rinsed black beans. And then we also have 2 3/4 cups of beef broth. Okay, and then for our pasta, I've got these little medium whole grain shells. Just to add a little boost of nutrition, you can use whatever kind of medium shaped pasta you like. So we're gonna do 3 cups of that, and these are uncooked. We wanna bring this to a boil, so I've turned up my heat to like a medium high. Once this is boiling, I'm gonna place the lid on. Now my lid has a little tiny hole to help steam escape a little bit. So I don't have to offset my lid. But if you don't have a hole in your lid, then make sure, I'll just kind of show you. Make sure to kind of set it off to the side so that steam has a chance to release a little bit. This smells so good. I'm really excited about this. Definitely a hearty meal, healthy, and it's gonna make great leftovers too. All right, so our mixture is boiling. I'm gonna pop the lid on, and I'm gonna turn the heat down to like a medium-low, and we're gonna cook this about 12 to 15 minutes until the pasta is cooked. I am gonna stir this a couple of times in between to make sure that the noodles, or not the noodles, the pasta. I had another viewer tell me it's pasta, not noodles, which she is correct. We'll stir it a couple times in between just to kind of move the pasta around so that it cooks evenly. And then we will move on to the finishing touches, and we are closer to tasting this. All right, check this out. This went about 15 minutes. I did try one of the noodles to make sure that it was done. And if you need to add a little bit more water or beef broth to finish cooking your noodles, you can totally do that. I would just do like maybe a 1/4 cup at a time. So I've turned off my heat because I don't want to cook this anymore, and we want to add in a couple more ingredients. I am going to add some cheese. We have 1½ cups, and you can use any kind you like. So it's really not a lot of cheese for this entire dish, but just enough to give it a little bit of richness. And then we're gonna do a half a cup of 2% Greek yogurt. Now you can do sour cream, but Greek yogurt is typically lower in calories and fat. So, and if we're trying to keep things healthier, plus it adds like a boost of protein. Okay, so let's stir all of this in until it's nice and creamy. And all that's left to do is I'm gonna top this with chopped cilantro for freshness, and I'm also gonna add some green onion. I thought the two would be kind of a fun, like fresh addition. Plus it makes it look pretty. I love my greens on top of my food. Wow, I mean, come on now. All right, I do wanna give this a little tiny taste. Make sure that we don't need any salt. Oh, wow. Okay, I don't think it needs more salt. My husband will probably add more to his serving, but that's okay. Okay, let's top it with some garnishes and then let's taste it together. Okay, check that out. Doesn't that look so good? Now you can definitely add, extra toppings. I was even thinking like fresh tomatoes would be really good over this, and even more cheese and sour cream if you want to do that. But I think it's going to be the perfect balance of everything. Oh yeah. I've said this in other videos, but I love the texture and hardiness of the whole grain noodle or whole grain pasta. It really just adds a nice kind of meatiness to the whole dish. But this has so much flavor. I mean, all of that meat and the sauce and the taco sauce, it really just infuses the noodles with so much flavor. This is absolutely delicious, and I feel really good about eating it, even though it feels like more like a comfort food dish. But it's healthy. It's got some healthy additions, and it'd be a perfect weeknight quick meal, or even when you're feeling lazy. I think you're gonna love this, and I can't wait to hear if you try it. Okay, so for our 1-pan egg roll bowls, we're gonna start by adding 1 tablespoon of olive oil to our pan. I'm also gonna add in 1 pound of ground turkey, but feel free to use ground beef or ground chicken. I'm also gonna do about 3/4 cup of chopped up yellow onion. So we will just crumble the ground turkey. We're gonna cook it until it's cooked through, no longer pink. And then we'll start adding in some other ingredients. This recipe comes together super fast, so I always suggest to have everything all prepped, prep your veggies and have it all ready to go to make the process that much smoother and faster. Okay, so while our ground turkey and onions are cooking, let's go ahead and mix up our sauce. Really simple ingredients. I've got a 1/3 cup of low sodium soy sauce. We are gonna do about 2 tablespoons of water. Just eyeball that. I'm also gonna add in about a teaspoon of honey. We're gonna do a teaspoon of sriracha. I might even do just a scotch more. And then we're gonna add in a 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil, toasted sesame oil. That looks good. Little goes a long way. And that is it for the sauce. So we'll just whisk this together and then we'll set it aside. We don't even have to heat it up or anything. We're gonna add it right to our veggies and meat once everything comes together and it's finished cooking. Okay. All right, turkey and onions are cooked. So now we're gonna add in some ginger and garlic. I've got 1 tablespoon of minced garlic and 1 tablespoon of minced ginger, fresh ginger. Now, if you don't have fresh ginger, you can also do ground ginger. I would just probably do more like 1.5 teaspoons. All right, and this is not an ingredient on the recipe on my website, so I happen to have a little bit of red bell pepper, and I didn't want it to go to waste, and this is the perfect recipe to use up veggies. We're also gonna add in 3/4 cup of carrots that I've shredded. Now I am using a coleslaw mix that has carrots, but it's not really that much, so I wanted to add more. So I'm gonna saute the carrots and peppers for 2 or 3 minutes. I do want them to soften a little bit before we add in the cabbage mixture. So healthy, tons of protein, lots of veggies. This is just a great dish, and it's delicious. So let's add in our coleslaw mix. I have 1 14-ounce bag of coleslaw mix that I actually put this in a strainer and rinsed it with cold water. I love that tip. Several of you recommended that to me, and it's the best. Like, it really revives the cabbage and it tastes super fresh and crunchy. All right, so before we add in our last two main ingredients, I'm gonna saute the cabbage mix for about 2 or 3 minutes, not real long, because it will continue to cook when we add our sauce and the little bit of rice that we're gonna stir in here. Get a big chunk out of there. I like the look of the cabbage. It's not looking like it's completely mush. So let's add in our sauce. And then we're also going to add in 1 cup of brown rice. And this is cooked. You can definitely do white rice. I'm just trying to keep it a little bit healthier. And I'm not doing much of it. It just adds a little bit of body to the whole dish. You can certainly add more rice, but I didn't want there to be too much because I want this meal to be nice and light. So we'll cook this for probably 2 or 3 minutes. Actually, you know what? I'm looking over at my instructions and it says 5 minutes. So we're going to do 5. All right, guys, this is looking good. Most of that sauce has been absorbed into the rice. And all that we need to do is we're going to plate this up, and I'm going to serve it with a little bit of green onions and some toasted sesame seeds. Really simple. So let's do that, and then we'll taste it together. Okay, check this out. So I put my green onions on there, some sesame seeds, and then I also did a little bit more sriracha, just because I wanted a teensy bit more spice. Okay, if you love egg rolls, you're gonna love the egg roll in a bowl. It's so much easier. I like that you can kind of control what goes into it. Plus you can use up veggies in your refrigerator that are kind of going south. It's the perfect recipe for that. Very healthy, fast, easy, 1-pan dinner. Like, this is such a great meal, and it's really, really flavorful with all that ginger and garlic, and the sauce just totally takes it over the top. So, so good. I think you're gonna love it. We are making our Italian turkey sausage with beans and kale. And so we're gonna start with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And then I have 1 pound of mild Italian turkey sausage. I believe that this was the Genio brand. So just use whatever brand you like. You could even do the chicken Italian sausage. That would be really good. Okay, so really I'm gonna cook the meat until it's no longer pink. We'll kind of crumble it up here. And then we will move on to the next step. You know what, as I was looking at my ingredients, I think I'm gonna add the onion to this and let the onion cook as well, so I don't have to do another step. So I've got about 1/2 cup of chopped up yellow diced onion. Chopped up, diced, okay, same exact thing. Now we'll cook all of this together and then move on to the next step. Ground turkey and onions are cooked, so we're gonna add in about 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. We just wanna cook the garlic for like 30 seconds. All right, I can smell the garlic, so we're gonna add in 3 cups of pasta sauce. Now I'm using like a tomato basil. You can use any kind of your favorite pasta sauce that you like. And I believe that this is the, is it Rayo's brand? We're also gonna add in 2 cans of white beans, and I've drained and rinsed these. I'm gonna add just a pinch of red pepper flakes, like maybe a 1/4 teaspoon. And then we gotta add in some stock. I have 3 cups of low sodium chicken stock. All right, so I'm gonna hike my heat up to like a medium high. I wanna bring this to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna add in our kale, and I'm gonna do, excuse me, I'm gonna do about 3 cups of that. And then I'll place the lid on, we'll turn it down to simmer, and we'll let it cook about 15 to 20 minutes. Really just until all the flavors marry together and your kale kind of wilts. If you don't like kale, feel free to use spinach. So this is starting to simmer. I'm gonna add in 3 cups of chopped up kale. Now I like to use the curly kale instead of the, I think it's called lisado kale or something like that. But it's really, really strong, and I like that the curly kale is a lot more mild. But again, you can definitely use spinach. Okay, 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll serve it up. We'll add a little Parmesan cheese, and then we get to taste it together. Okay, we are ready to taste this. Does that look delicious? And then of course I added that little bit of Parmesan cheese. I also toasted myself some French bread, A little bit of butter. Gotta have it for dunking. I mean, when you have like a broth like this, especially a little crusty bread, it's the best. Okay, let's give this a taste. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but I did not salt and pepper this at all. Kind of depending on the chicken stock you use or even the tomato sauce. So just don't add any and then add it at the end if you need it. So. I mean, the flavor of this, you would have thought that there would have been so many ingredients put into the soup, but you saw how easy it was to put together and how minimal the ingredients were. That pasta sauce, it gives it excellent flavor, really gives it a rich, just flavor. It is just so, so good. Okay, we have to try it with our little French bread here. Oh yeah, you gotta have the bread. Excellent soup. Let me finish my bite. My mom is absolutely gonna love this. She loves anything with beans. But this is a great soup and so easy. One pot. I know you're gonna love it. Well, I am so glad that we finally got to spend some time together today, and I hope that today's video was inspiring to you, just to give you some ideas for easy recipes and healthy ones for the new year. Don't forget, all the recipe links can be found in the descriptions. And if you're new here, I'd love for you to be part of my YouTube family, so make sure to subscribe. I hope you have a really blessed week, and we will see you next time.